What's going on, everybody? I am Mike. That is Evo. This is Raw Dawg Sports, and you should come to the tree out, you big dumb bitch. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going AFC, NFC East predictions tonight. We're going to talk a little bit of U Sports, NBA. Our guy Shane Gillis is going to be hosting the ESPYs. Kevin Durant is on the move again. So is AB, but in a very different fashion. And Justin Tucker will not be playing football for a little bit of time. But my guy Evo, welcome in. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Tired as usual with all these fucking kids running around. It's great, but yeah, tired. But ready to be here. Ready to go over some schedule predictions and whatnot. Excited because we got training camp right around the corner. So ready to get into some sports.
All right, brother, I'm ready to go. I think we're going to start the show today with some U Sports. I will start with a little bit of U Sports on my end because my U Sports news is not great. The Raw Dawg Sports baseball team has had a really bad year. We are not good at baseball right now in any fashion. But the boys are still trying to play hard. We got to get a lot better. However, we are one of the youngest teams in the league. And we had a game the other day where some guys got to play in some different spots, got to get better at the game. So, Raw Dawg Sports, the baseball team has had a tough year, but we have a kid that we know has not had a tough year. Evo, go ahead and talk about it, man, because I know you wanted to bring it up and highlight him.
Yeah, so Malakai Cooper, who we've highlighted on the show, the son of a couple of good friends of ours, former co-workers, former vets. Malakai, big kid, big in football, really good at football. We've highlighted him multiple times on the show. We even spoke about him here in the last week or two, I believe, about how he got to go to a football camp at University of Alabama. Turns out he also went to University of Auburn, did a camp there. And it's cool watching him see the growth that he's had. We are going to continue following him on his entire journey. It's pretty damn awesome to see, someone that we know succeeding so much, putting in so much effort, and just like genuinely a really, really good kid. Not a shithead at all. Good kid, doing the right thing, good head on his shoulders, and working super hard to be excellent at his craft. I think the sky's the limit for him, man. And we're very proud of him. We know his parents are proud of him. So congrats to going to those camps, Malakai. Big things in your future. We can see it. We're all rooting for you and behind you.
Hell yeah, man. I've known Malakai since he was a wee lad. Matt and I went to AIT together. So I have known Malakai for a very, very long time. And to watch the player that he's become and the young man that he is really cool, really special to see. Testament to that family in general. We love the Coopers. By the way, we need to do another talk, Matt. Anyways, man, so Malakai he was at the camps and then got invited in for a visit to actually go and tour facilities and things like that as well.
Yeah. I toured Alabama with only 4 other players, so he was kind of selected out of his group to go do a tour. It's pretty cool. You can only assume so much and whatnot, but getting to go to these big time, not just Division I football camps, but big Division I football camps. We're talking University of Alabama, and they were just such a powerhouse for such a long time under Saban. Auburn obviously has put out insane NFL talent. These are big SEC programs. So for him to get to go there and then kind of get selected to do other stuff, tour the facilities is pretty awesome. It kind of shows where his path is, what others outside of just our small echo chamber probably think of him. That he's very talented and the right type of guy for these sorts of programs.
Yeah, I think he absolutely is. You brought some up. Did you go to any big time camps, D1 camps when you were playing?
Nope. It was all like UND and NDSU and stuff like that, North Dakota, the Dakotas and things like that.
So we did Wyoming football camp. I wouldn't classify that as it's a D1 school, but at the time, Wyoming was still kind of on the up and up. But I wanted to play for Coach Glenn so bad at Wyoming, man. Because I graduated high school there in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Ohio State wasn't calling. So Man, yeah, it's fun, man. There's a lot of competition. I remember they brought in a group of kids that Wyoming had invited, just selected on their own, called them the Renegades, and then all the high school teams would be going at, like, you would end up facing these dudes. Them kids could play ball. It was a lot of fun though, man. A lot of fun.
For sure.
All right, brother. Let's transition out of youth sports. We're gonna go and dive back into the NBA just for a little bit because the NBA season is finally over. The Thunder are the champions, and nobody really cares. The parade was kind of lame by all accounts. Now, social media, you can get tricked very easily. You can get sent-held real fast. So I don't know how big this parade was, but it didn't seem like there was a massive group of people from the things that I actually saw. Did you see anything that indicated this was like, woohoo?
I mean, I saw a lot of the same stuff of what looked to be pretty barren parade areas, and yes, it is easy to get duped on social media. So full disclosure, no deep research was done here at all. I mean, that's kind of the thing. But in general, like,
Producer Amber, that can you get on that and find out how many people were there?
Yeah, where's our Jamie from Rogan? Amber, get on it. But no, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you can put statistics and stuff to players, whether or not they're good or bad, but the eye test is a thing. And in this situation, the kind of the eye test, the feel of the whole situation was that, like, no one was super excited about this championship for OKC. And that's not to say, I mean, I guarantee that there's plenty of OKC fans out there that are super stoked for sure. And I know that we've already received some, like, backlash from people who about us talking shit about SGA, and apparently we're not watching the finals. Like, we've watched some basketball. We've watched at least, the playoffs at a minimum. And it's kind of blatantly apparent with some of the things that we're talking about. But by all means, if you think that we're wrong, let us know. Like, we don't care. Like, you can say what you want, all you want, and I don't give a fuck. But
around 500,000 people were at this parade.
Yeah.
And on that, I also don't give a fuck. I say repugnant shit to people on the internet all the time.
Yeah. But either way, it just the gut feeling that I've kind of seen in, even just from general sports media is people don't really give a fuck about them winning the championship. And to some extent, still congratulations to them. Obviously, winning an NBA championship.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they didn't even seem that excited when they won the thing. Just there was, like, no real big fanfare at the end of the game.
Well, did they actually beat the team, or did a massive injury in that game play a huge role into why the Thunder were able to kind of pull away with this thing?
I mean, you would have to say that there is, a big part of it that is the injury. Now, injuries are a part of sports. Every team deals with injuries. Players all deal with injuries. But losing Haliburton with, he had the calf strain through most of that series, and then getting into it with the now known Achilles tear, which is obviously devastating to see happen. Like, you've seen other popular sports media out there, Barstool and whatnot, bring up that they think that there might be, the need for, like, an asterisk next to this one to an extent, because people aren't going to go back, 20 years from now and remember OKC won this championship. They're going to remember Haliburton went down in Game 7. With how Haliburton had been playing, how clutch he had been, especially in Game 7s and whatnot, in the playoffs. Like, it's a huge deal to lose arguably your best player in the most important game. And so it kind of takes some of the shine away from OKC. That sucks for OKC if that's the case, and that's why people are kind of like meh about the championship, because they felt like the match changed. But at the end of the day, it is part of sports. Injuries are part of sports. It's nothing that can be, avoided. So it definitely makes a difference that he wasn't out there, but that's part of a championship roster, is being able to deal with injuries and stuff like that. So all is fair in love and war, and in this one, Pacers just didn't have what it took to beat OKC.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but for me, the Haliburton thing is going to be the storyline of this, like you kind of said. And it's a storyline that I think the NBA is starting to look into as well, that the amount of Achilles injuries that are taking place is alarming. And it's not just in the NBA. There's a lot in the NBA, but we're actually seeing this injury a lot more across athletes in all leagues. And I don't know why. I don't understand. Are humans just getting too big, fast, and strong for that ligament? Because the numbers have gone through the roof. Like the NFL had what, 5, 6 in the last, at least 6 notable Achilles tendons injuries in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, at least it feels like the numbers increased without doing any deep dive research into it. It feels like they've increased.
Producer Amber.
It's another one of those things that it's like you're seeing it on the biggest stage with some of the biggest athletes, important people going down with these Achilles injuries, and it does kind of bear the question, like, are the human, or is the human body not being able to adapt to the physical nature and the specimens that these people are, and the training that they have to do, and what sort of extra stress is putting on that Achilles ligament. And I'm specifically talking about Kirk Cousins, of course, an athletic freak, right?
Obviously.
But that's the thing.
Clearly.
It's non-contact, so that it's obvious when there's contact injuries and stuff like that, those things are going to happen. But these non-contact ones, it's ruptures of the Achilles. It's an explosive stress on that ligament causing the problem. And I think the question is going to revolve less around like why is it happening and more of how can we prevent it, because athletes aren't going to stop like training how they are necessarily, or getting bigger, faster, stronger. They're not going to continue or not stop pushing the limits.
We're getting ready for the enhanced games, baby.
Yeah, don't get me on that. You have places trying to shut it down and stuff like that, and so they shouldn't be allowed, particularly Olympic committees and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, mind your own fucking business.
Yeah, because of what happens when they either don't shatter the record or like maybe somebody was doing something they weren't supposed to be doing.
Yeah, though that would be a bad look for sure.
Yeah. And producer Amber, how many Achilles injuries have happened in the NFL in the last 2 years? That's what I want.
She's gonna be the gopher. Send her.
Hey, you know what? At some point, I'm gonna like convince her to just have a spot where we could just pop her in every once in a while. She's never gonna agree to that.
But yeah, look, congrats to OKC. I fucking hate you, but you won the championship. Congrats to you. Our thoughts go out to Haliburton, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery. Because no one wants those Achilles injuries.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And he was having a special run too. All right, let's stay in the NBA real quick. A guy who's had an Achilles injury, Kevin Durant, on the move again, going out to Houston now. Man, it feels like Kevin has kind of faded into the background in the league a little bit. Now, maybe it's because he was out on the West Coast for these last couple of years. It's just, I have not heard or seen a ton of Kevin Durant. With the move to Houston, it might be good for him. I don't know how much he's going to lead a team, a young team in Houston, to compete for an NBA title. I would love to hear here we go.
This has to be Google AI, right, Amber?
100%. This is, I'm almost certain this is Sleeves. Awesome. Our personalized AI.
Nice. But either way, that's still a significant amount of Achilles ruptures there. But yeah, Kevin Durant. I don't know either. Like there was a lot of talk about him going to the Wolves, and I kind of like the idea of that, just to get another superstar in there. However, he's not the same guy that he was. He's aging. Like he's a good shooter, but the assets that you have to give up to get him would have been possibly prohibitive towards pushing towards that championship.
Well, I mean, obviously, it didn't hurt Houston.
Yeah, they got Jalen Green, Suns got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, number 10 pick in this draft, and then I believe it was the number 2 seed and a 2025 first round pick, something like that, or a couple extra picks. Either way, there's a lot of picks involved.
It's a
way more
lot
than
to give
Luka.
up for an aging superstar, who's, I mean, luckily for Kevin, he's never really required athleticism to be an efficient scorer. He will probably be able to put up 20 in the NBA until he decides to hang him up. But he is going to maybe limit you in other aspects of his game at this point. I don't know if Houston is excited to give. I mean, they give up some defense, and I don't like this trade for Houston. But what? So what are you looking at?
A hair on my hat.
All right. You got anything else on Kevin Durant? I mean, he's on the move again. I don't know that that's by accident.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's
I
a lot of
he
movement here.
Yeah, he wanted out of there. It's one of those things when you see a superstar like that kind of doing a lot more, moving around to teams, especially later in their career. There's definitely a reason behind that.
All right. Well, moving on, we're going to transition over to just a sports story. Our guy Shane Gillis is going to get to host the ESPYs. Now, Shane, notorious for maybe some off-color humor that we love, but maybe is not great for network television like ESPN. Do you think that ESPN and Mickey Mouse, because that's who the fuck owns ESPN, is going to try to put a muzzle on Shane Gillis? And is he going to actually make it there and actually be the host of this thing?
I think that because of who he is and how he has been in public settings, especially sports settings. I mean, when he was on, college football, the shows and dogging on Saban and stuff like that, like it was hilarious. Like him and Pat McAfee riffing, hilarious. I think that's probably got to be part of it, is that, he agrees to do this and he's probably like, cool, like, you got to let me do my thing. You got to let me do my thing. Like, it seems like we're moving a little bit out of the more woke era of stuff. And some of the, comedy is coming back into the limelight in prime time. And they're allowing comedians to kind of do their thing. I mean, I guarantee there's hard lines like don't say the N word, don't say the R word, things like that. But if there's insinuations and stuff like that, it's funny. It's humor. And that's kind of one of the things that they want from an ESPYs host. They want an injection of that comedy and humor. They don't want it to be dry. We've had too long of spells of things like that happening. So like, it's a good move by ESPN to bring him in, because you're going to pull in people who normally probably wouldn't watch it. Even, avid sports fans who normally wouldn't watch the ESPYs that are probably going to tune in, because they're also going to be kind of those bro Shane Gillis college frat guy type of, guys like, I don't know, you and I, who are, in our mid 30s and, enjoy that type of humor and whatnot, like kind of pushing the boundaries. Shane Gillis is kind of our type of comedian. So that's exactly what we want to see. I think it's an awesome move and super stoked for it.
I think it's going to be awesome as well. I do worry, because it is Disney, that there will maybe be a little bit of I wouldn't even be willing to bet that if there was, he'll tip it during the show.
Yeah.
He won't, and he'll do the
yeah, for sure. By the way, season 2 of Tire is out on Netflix.
I was going to ask you, have you watched it? I have not watched it.
I've watched a couple episodes. It's good? Pretty. Oh yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Oh man. Tires. Oh, I wrapped up. I'm done with my internship, dog.
Congratulations.
It means if I pass all my classes until the spring, I graduate college. I'll be a grown-up.
Kind of at 30, what?
7. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I don't look 37 though, apparently. Everybody thinks I look like I'm in my late 20s, early 30s.
Hey, you know what? That's common these days, because we have modern medicine and whatnot. We'd be dead 100 years ago, probably.
Correct.
So
yeah, but awesome. I do wish this gray would come in a little bit more distinguished.
Just give it time.
Yeah.
Just find a way to have another kid.
No, God, fuck that. Having that conversation will give me more gray hair. So let's move on to something that's probably going to cause trauma for somebody. Antonio Brown is back in the news. He is on the run, literally. Fled the country, and it is wanted for attempted murder, I think it is.
Yeah. He claims self-defense, and we kind of saw something about this story coming before where he had like taken a firearm off of like a security guard or an officer.
Yeah, somebody was trying to steal his chain.
And claims self-defense. Obviously, Antonio Brown, great football player, but a fucking kook of a person. And easily, in my opinion, the best ex-follow that you can have out there.
Oh, 100%, dude.
It's insane. Like, if you do not have Twitter or X, it's worth getting one just to follow him because it is consistently entertaining.
You're welcome for bringing me to the X game, by the way.
Like the whole Gavin Newsom, I'm banging your wife stuff, like like anything. He's a wild man. I love it. But yeah, so they are, Florida put a warrant out for his arrest for attempted murder, which realistically, if you're shooting a firearm, it's towards a person, it's probably attempted murder. Whether or not that charge completely sticks, if he's able to somehow hold up against that he was.
I was trying to maim him in the leg.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Obviously, with celebrities, things go different. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen if he actually did truly flee the country, which is what the alleged belief is right now, because he's still alive and well on X. And I believe he put something out there about how he's like, I'm out of the country. I'll tell my kids, tell your mamas to get a job because they ain't getting another dime. Stuff like that.
Some girl that he was finger blasting with resin on his finger. He is wild on X.
Yeah. He's hilarious. But yeah, look, because there isn't necessarily a victim in this one, no one was actually shot. I'm sure some people were probably scared, but no one was actually shot. It's one of those where it's like you probably shouldn't root for him in this one, but I kind of am because it's like I just want to see how this turns out, and I don't want him to not be on Twitter.
It's like a fucking car accident; you can't turn away.
Yeah, like I don't want to lose that follow. Like I don't want to lose the content.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, Antonio Brown. I enjoy him much more post NFL career than I did while he was in the NFL.
I'm sure
he tormented me, man.
Yeah.
Damn, my punter right in the fucking face.
If it wasn't for those TBIs, the CT ESPN wouldn't be a thing, and he probably would very potentially would have gone down as one of the best wide receivers of all time. The way that he had been playing, like he was phenomenal talent.
Honestly, if you want to talk about like one of the greatest like runs as the best receiver in the league, he's right up there. Like his 5-year run was fucking insane.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we have an insane run online.
Yeah, for potentially the next 5 years until he is captured in a foreign country.
Someone just has to find a place that non-extradition treaties and stuff like that. I'm sure he can live his life pretty well.
Just go watch any of the Fast and Furious movies. They'll tell you all about it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, family. Anyways.
Another player in a little bit of hot water.
Yeah, go ahead.
Justin Tucker, famed kicker for the Ravens. Now, I don't know that any sort of legal stuff actually came out from this.
I don't know. But, and honestly, I don't care at this point. Like when this shit comes out, you cannot be like, oh, okay, well, it's fine.
Obviously a bunch of sexual misconduct allegations.
Yeah.
The Deshaun Watson treatment of massage therapists coming out saying like, hey, he solicited stuff from us and did these things and blah, blah, blah. Again, I want to err on the side of like people try to get money from athletes all the time. But at this point, the NFL apparently had seen enough in order to levy a suspension. Now the Ravens cut him recently.
Yeah.
So
That was a football decision, not because he had allegedly, done whatever he had done to these women.
Well, the Ravens are lucky with that because he
was bad last year.
He was not the same Justin Tucker. Like, he kind of fell off that cliff. And so it made it easy and convenient for them to say, hey, it's time to move on because he's not playing good. Also, there's these sexual misconduct allegations. And he got almost the Deshaun Watson treatment out of it. A 10-game suspension, not 11 games like Deshaun, but 10.
He only hit into the teens, though. So once you have to get to the 20s to get the extra game.
Oh, okay. Like I don't know what the flow chart is for this thing.
I don't understand the fucking flow chart either. But
well, he's white and he's a kicker, so
one less game.
One less game. You rascal. So, but either way, 10 games for this year, assuming that he would make it on an NFL roster, which I really do not believe that's going to happen. And quite honestly, at this point, like, you can go down as one of the greatest kickers of all time. This really does tarnish your career. I think 100%. It brings into question whether or not he's going to be looking at a potential Hall of Fame status. I mean, statistically, just to play on the field, absolutely worth it. But you've seen guys not make it to the Hall of Fame because of things like these. We'll see whether or not that happens. But if I were him, like, I would call it a career and try to fade into limelight as quick as possible because there's no really good positive story or ending that comes from this. So it's easiest to try to detach as quick as possible.
Yeah, hopefully he did good with his money. I mean, he's a godly man. He'll go live out in the middle of some fucking suburb and relax and hopefully be good. I mean, for his sake, I should say. If he did what he did, fuck him. I hope he, fucked his money up, but he could easily just call it a career. Unless there's a chance that he could get. He doesn't have the total points record, does he?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Vinatieri, I think, has it still.
I don't follow kicker stats that well.
I'm gonna Google it. I used to pay more attention to this.
God damn it.
Yeah, what the fuck, Amber?
But I'm not sure. Look,
so much trouble.
He's been such an incredible kicker through his career. It's less about like total points to me, and it's more about just how clutch, good from distance, everything. Like, such a high percentage make. Like, one of the greatest kickers of all time. I don't think there's any argument there.
So it's Vinatieri, and it's by a lot. Actually, Justin Tucker is much farther back than I anticipated. He would have to kick for a much longer time, and I don't think that's going to happen.
No. That's I would think it's safe to say that his career is probably over. I don't know if it is 10 games, like the first 10 games of the season, regardless of if he's on a roster or not, or if it's once he's on a roster, it starts the 10 games. I don't know exactly how it works. I just know that it goes into effect starting this year. I would have to assume it is while he's with the team. And what team is going to sign a guy who is already on the downfall of his career or looked to be on the backside of his career? Who's going to sign him, pay him money to sit and not play for the vast majority of your season? I don't see that happening. I mean, different situation with Matt Ariza. He's a punter with no NFL history, and he was out of the league for a couple years because of false allegation. He's on the squad now. He's with the Chiefs. Good things going for his career. It's different in this situation, though. You're talking about an aging player who, again, backside of his career more than likely, and there is an attached suspension with it. So I don't see anyone signing him soon.
Yeah, I don't either, man. I don't know how you couldn't justify it. You could bring him in as a off season. You had a kicker who didn't have a good year last year. You bring him in to compete in training camp and see if he has anything left. But that's definitely not this year. Maybe next year. But if he doesn't kick next year, he's probably not coming back. So, yeah. And then producer Amber coming in here with the numbers Vinatieri, 2,673. Tucker's only at 1,775, dog. So that's a long, long ways away there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got a shot. That's a fuckload of points.
I'm trying to figure out if this is. It says he's suspended for 10 weeks without pay. I would have to assume that he would have to be getting paid actively by a team, like on a roster for that. His suspension will begin on roster cutdown day, August 26th, and last until November 11th. So apparently, it is not even if he's with the team. So theoretically, after November 11th, I guess the team could sign him and take on the potential PR nightmare. Okay.
Look at what happened with Deshaun Watson, dude. There's no fucking way. Now, if it comes out that he didn't do anything, sure. Like Ariaza's case, right? Ariaza, they went through the whole goddamn process, and he sat out of the league for the entire time. And then when they was found out that he didn't do what they said, he was welcomed back in. Even with that, it was very kind of meh. I don't know about this.
Yeah, look, because it's later in the year. If we're talking about like a team in the playoffs, their kicker goes down. Maybe a situation like that to go to a vet that is good under pressure situations, but still, we'll see. It's just funny.
And it will be team dependent. Some teams will say maybe, and there will be teams that will say absolutely not. We will not look at Justin Tucker.
Absolutely. But the article I'm reading here from the Baltimore Banner is just fucking. It's funny. It's he's been banned by 2 spas for inappropriate behavior during sessions. One massage therapist who told the Baltimore Banner in January that Tucker repeatedly exposed his genitals to her during the 2014 massage and touched her arm with his erect penis.
Hey.
He was whipping his leg out to be like, can you massage this leg that is doing so well? And the hog flopped out as well. Of course, it was erect, apparently. I don't know. 2014 though, that's a long time ago, to be honest. Like, for this stuff to come out now, I don't know that is like makes it any better, but it's weird that we're only hearing about it.
So let's hold on. Is Busby representing these women? Because then
I got no idea.
Because I would like to know who the lawyer for these women is.
I don't know. Doesn't say. I don't even know if there's I don't know if there's actually any sort of legal investigation that's actually happening. It might be past a statute of limitations here.
I don't understand what's happening anymore. But Justin Tucker is suspended, and if he did what he did, fuck that guy. But also fuck that guy for all the pain that he caused me as a Browns fan as well.
Yeah. So it's Michael Bolesky and Catherine Dickinson.
Okay, so I believe it then.
Because I know them. Though this Michael Bolesky guy looks like he's on fucking crack. Good attorney. Anyways, so that's the sort of fun stuff that we get to talk about in the NFL offseason, right? Not a ton going on here.
No,
but of course, the season keeps moving along. We got stuff to talk about. We have predictions for every team in the NFL. We're going to be breaking these down, splitting an AFC and an NFC division each week going forward to kind of talk about where we think these teams are going to land by the end of the year. Obviously, this is way reckless to do because training camps haven't even started. We haven't had all the injuries that are probably going to occur, things like that. And this is a time for us to not only be a little bit objective in trying to figure out these final standings, but also for us to probably be homers to some extent, and show off some of that and hate on some of the teams that we hate. So by all means, vitriol, allow it to pop out on the social medias, because it's I feel like I'm definitely going to get some when I get to my Vikings, but because I'm bullish. And I know you were bullish on your Browns last year. I'm interested to see how that turns out. But this week, we're going over, did you say the AFC East and NFC East?
AFC East, NFC East. I got a couple of really good fucking teams in both of these divisions. I don't know the right way to say that, so I'm just going to fucking stick with that. But there's a good team in each one of these divisions that's going to be really, really good. So, for you, my man, does it matter to you which way we start? Do you want to go NFC or do you want to go AFC?
I'm good with either of them. And for full disclosure, everybody, and we can actually post these somehow online once we are all said and done. I know that, and I believe you do the same, Mike. Went through every single week, every single game.
Yes.
Picked winners, losers for every single game. It's a little bit of it's a fun exercise. It's a tiring exercise for sure as well, especially double checking to make sure that you didn't make any sort of mistakes. But it is fun to kind of see how the season plays out and envision in your head, some of those key matchups, certain things that we always tend to see, like the Bengals just struggling early in the year. Is that going to continue? Rivalries, things like that. So it's fun to go through. I would love if everybody who wants to critique us give this a try, because it is fun, and give us your results as well.
Yeah. So last year when we started this, we did the whole thing in one show, and it was so much information. I think it took us a couple of hours to get through it. So we decided this year, I know it's early, but we were going to break it down into a couple weeks. That way it's not a 2.5 hour long show talking about why we think these teams are going to be good. Because I can go back through this year. I did save all of my stuff, Evo, so I can tell you every week who I got winning for each team. I was prepared more this year than last. But
alrighty,
I'm ready. I'm ready whenever you are, brother.
All right. Did we decide we're going NFC or AFC first?
Let's do NFC, man, because this division is going to cause a lot of arguments with a lot of people. And I don't know. I think we're going to be on very similar pages ish. I think one team we're going to disagree on a little bit, but
okay. Yeah. So
you want to start? You want to go? Who's your bottom team?
So team leading up the rear here in the NFC East is the New York Football Giants. I think that's probably pretty chalk. I've got them going 6-11. So a better year than maybe last year. And a step in the right direction, because I think that they do have a quarterback in Russell Wilson who can go out there and actually, play quarterback decently, which last year the Giants really didn't have. They do have a lot of offensive firepower. That defense was already pretty good. And they're, have some reasons for hope. Bring Jackson Dart in if you think that Dable can develop him in any sort of way like he did Josh Allen. This is a step in the right direction this year for them, getting a little bit of extra wins. And I mean, we saw what Russell Wilson was able to do with the Steelers. Like, he came in, did decent initially, but then, you kind of saw what he was, an aged veteran quarterback, a guy who can run the offense. But Russell Wilson doesn't need to do a whole lot. Like, you look at the receivers that are on this team, and Malik Neighbors is just a fantastic with the ball in his hands, and you don't need to run insane routes with him. They can be relatively short routes, and he's going to get yak. Wan'Dale Robinson, same sort of thing. So having a competent quarterback there who can run the offense is going to pay dividends for the Giants. It's not going to make them astronomically better, but it's a step in the right direction. I don't know if it's enough to save Dable's job necessarily, but the drafting of Jackson Dart plus a little bit of a growth in the positive direction, I think will be enough to get him another year, unless the wheels absolutely fall off there.
So I also have the Giants as fourth, and the wheels fall off and Brian Daboll gets fired. I got them finishing 2-15. The quarterback room is fucking insane right now. Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, and is Tommy still in town?
He is.
Yeah.
Tommy Cutlets is still there.
They have no idea what the fuck they're doing at all at quarterback. So we can talk about the competency of, sure, but is it that much better than Tommy? Tommy's still there. He's still competing. They haven't made any moves. They went out, they traded for two guys. They draft another. So why is Tommy still there? Is he a camp arm at this point? Because you don't need him. Because what you could do with four quarterbacks is cut one of these guys and actually go out and fucking bring in somebody who can play. Because you've seen Tommy play. Or what are you going to do? Are you trying to build trade value in Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson? Because if the future is Jackson Dart, one of those two guys got to go. But how do you build a trade asset to get rid of them? It makes no sense. I think the quarterback room is in such disarray, and the entire organization is in disarray about what's going to happen there, that this thing is going to shit the bed.
I see it differently. Is that they went into the draft not knowing if they were going to have a chance to get Jackson Dart. They went into the draft knowing that they needed to have some semblance of a quarterback room. Most NFL teams these days are going to carry 3 quarterbacks because you are able to dress them, but not have them technically active. It doesn't count against your active players with the NFL rules. So having 3 quarterbacks on your roster going into the draft, you at least know that worst case, if you don't go out there and you're not able to get your guy in Jackson Dart, because apparently they were targeting him, then you do have that 3 guys in the quarterback room, which makes sense depth chart wise. You have Russell Wilson as your starter. You have Jameis Winston as a semi-reliable backup, high variance guy. And then you do have the hometown hero, the legend of Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito. And it would be bad PR to get rid of him right now, right?
And it doesn't make sense to me, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Like I think that this they hedged their bets going into the year to make sure that at least they had someone there to play quarterback after shipping Daniel Jones off or cutting him last year, right? But like as much as I love the story of DeVito, like I would probably take Russell Wilson at the cheap contract they got him at over DeVito as a starter. And so
sure, but why is Tommy still there as the 4th quarterback, getting ready to roll in the training camp? And they've seen him start at multiple times. Like if he doesn't have the ability to compete, what is the difference in the quarterback play? What is the big expectation? What is the big growth, big jump? I just don't see where that's going to come. And if it doesn't happen, I think this team folds real quick. Daboll loses the locker room.
I don't think that they look at it as like, hey, we're bringing 4 guys in to truly compete. Like it's training camp. You got to have 90 guys out there, except for your international exceptions. Like they can easily cut him on cutdown day, DeVito, that is. But if you go into training camp and all of a sudden Jameis, pops an Achilles or something like that, now you've got a 3 quarterback room because Dart's your
Jameis,
third.
We're praying for you, big dog. No Achilles pops.
Absolutely, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's the same reason why like my Vikings have 4 quarterbacks going to camp. They know JJ McCarthy's the guy, but they still have Sam Howell, Max Brosmer. And God, I can't even remember the other guy's name. Who's probably going to end up being the third stringer. But you bring those guys in, they're camp arms.
Yeah, but at this point, you don't need the camp arm. Like we're past that. Like we're getting ready to go into mandatory training camp.
You do if there's an injury.
Okay. Do you need Tommy on a team where you have 2 guys that you traded for and drafted a rookie? It makes no sense to me. It's a waste of a roster spot. Unless Tommy is actually he doesn't need to be a camp arm.
Yeah, he's better than
he's a camp
bag of donuts.
But he's a camp arm somewhere else. They don't need to keep him there.
I mean, if I'm a Giants fan, I would rather them keep him and go somewhere else because he's a legend around those parts, right? Like it's a bad PR move. But at 90-day cutdown day, no one's going to blink an eye when he ends up hitting the market, or gets on the practice squad or whatever, like I don't think it's a big deal that they have him there because the reality is that he's probably not going to be there when it comes down to cutdown day, barring an injury. And I don't think it's abnormal for a team to carry 4 quarterbacks into camp. I mean, goddamn, you got a shitload of quarterbacks on your team.
Our situation is a little bit different, and I knew that was going to come up. I'm going to break that down.
Is it that different?
We have 2 rookies.
Yeah,
that's a huge fucking difference, Evo. And having 2 rookies there who are still trying to figure out who can compete in camp,
and 2 antiquated veterans.
But here's the thing: we have 1 guy who's played in the system, and Joe Flacco, who's come back, and 1 dude that's never played in the system who has never proven to be a starter with 2 rookies.
The Giants have 1 guy who has played in the system, and that's DeVito. That could be why he's there.
You think Tommy is there to teach?
I don't know. He's a fourth quarterback on the team. I don't think it's that big of a deal right now. Obviously, they're going to roll into the season with Russell being the starter.
I'm happy Tommy's there. I'm sure everybody in God, where is he from again? Is it
Gabagool, New York, or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Oh man! All right, so that's our fourth team. We're both on the Giants. You have them better than I have them by 4 games. Where are you going on team 3?
All right, team 3 is going to hurt some people's feelings. They're at the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, me too.
I got them at 8 and 9. They do have some decent wins versus decent teams this year. However, the top end of this NFC East is really, really good. And they don't have the easiest of schedules. Cowboys, I still don't think that they address the run game enough. I still think that's going to be a problem. I got big question marks about that defense. New coach in Schottenheimer. I don't know how that's going to go because it's a new coaching staff, because they didn't address the issues that I really felt like they had this offseason. Like I didn't see them for them just offseason. Specifically that offensive line. Like they brought in Booker. That's great. But like, I don't think it's dramatically better. And I don't think that the running backs that you brought in there are going to move the needle that much. You're looking for another receiver to partner next to CeeDee Lamb, and you go out and you get a guy who's from Pittsburgh, who's a little bit of a question mark because he could cause issues in the locker room. Like, I think that you didn't see an upgrade in the coaching change, didn't see upgrades in the roster. I just don't see this being their year.
This thing's gonna blow up so bad, and I cannot wait for it. You have got them at, you said 8 and 9?
8 and 9. And for what it's worth, I have them beating my Vikings.
Ooh. I have them at 5 and 12. The Cowboys are gonna suck. And, the offensive line is in shambles. I understand they made a signing, but that line has been in shambles for years. They're still getting older. Guys have been retiring. The running game, you brought it up, man. It has not been addressed in the proper fashion. This was a fucking stacked running back class. And they didn't even take a look. On top of the fact that you pair a awful personality to mesh with Dak and CeeDee and George Pickens. Brand new coach going down to Dallas, going to manage all those personalities plus Jerry. This thing's going to go absolutely fucking sideways, bro. They are going to be awful.
And that's I think that if we're talking about, glass half full possibilities here, if Pickens' attitude, candor, whatever you want to call it, doesn't actually manifest, it could be an absolute boon for that passing game. Because look, Dak, for all he is in the playoffs and everything, he is a really, really good statistical quarterback, especially when it comes to regular season. Like sure. CeeDee's done gangbusters without really having a true good number 2 next to him. Pickens has, top end number 2, fringe number 1 type of capability.
George Pickens was a number 1 when he was getting decent quarterback play.
Well, when the fuck has that been?
Honestly, Kenny Pickett, like 2.5 years ago.
Dude, this is the homer coming out of you.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Super Bowl winning Kenny Pickett.
There you go. You get on the bandwagon, man. That's your QB1. But look, like Pickens hasn't had really any sort of sustainable quarterback play. And so maybe that's where some of the frustration and his antics are coming from, because he's had generally jokes at quarterback. Now he's got a guy who can deliver him the ball, who is shown to be a good passer, at least in the regular season. And that's going to open up CeeDee Lamb even more. So if all that other stuff really doesn't manifest, like we could be seeing a situation that's a little bit more akin to the Cincinnati Bengals, where they could have a very high potency passing offense that is very dangerous and scary. I just don't know that the rest of the team is there around him. That's why I am much closer to 500, obviously better than you here with them being 8 and 9, because I think that there's that potential that we're going to see at least a couple weeks where this is a high potency passing offense. I don't have faith in the run game. I don't have faith in that defense.
feel that. Feel that very much. All right. So we went a little closer than I thought. And well, I guess we had the teams right. Our records are off by a little bit. But let's move on. Team number 2 coming out of the East. I think we're both probably here on the same page. I'm going the Commanders as the second team, and I've got them finishing at 13-4.
All right. Not me.
I love Jaden Daniels. You know I love Jaden Daniels. I have been hyped on this kid since he came out. He was my quarterback 1 in that draft. I said he was taking his team to the fucking NFC Championship. I think he is the best young quarterback the NFL has seen since Patrick Mahomes. He does things at such a high level. He is so smart. He is so athletically gifted. And as long as he stays healthy and finally learns the game in the NFL offense and gets really ingrained into football culture, this kid's going to be possibly one of the greatest quarterbacks the NFL has ever seen. That's how high I am on Jaden Daniels.
Not high enough to get him in first place, which is
Correct.
why I have the Commanders. I have the Eagles in second here in the NFC East. I expect them to take a little bit of a step back. There's a little bit of projection here. All right. So the Eagles, losing Mekhi Becton at right guard. Obviously, they have one of the best O-line coaches in the NFL. I think that it shouldn't be a huge drop off, but there's a potential there. I like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, but he's not the guy that you think is going to put the game on his shoulders and carry his team. It's been Saquon. This last year was Saquon, right? And in that defense, and I still think the defense is going to be good, but Saquon had over 400 touches last year. That's an insane amount. Like, at some point in time, a guy who has an injury history like Saquon, with that amount of touches, who's also on the cover of Madden.
Where's the Madden coming, baby?
I do not wish injury on anyone, but I will not be surprised if he misses 4+ weeks this year with some sort of an injury, because he is getting used so much. Now, like, those numbers are including the playoffs last year, but he was leaned on heavily even through the playoffs to get those 400 something touches. I'm betting on the potential for regression from him or because injury to him, and he's the heart and soul of that offense.
Yeah,
that goes down. You start to have some issues. I got the Eagles in second place at 10-7, still a good winning record, still getting into the playoffs. But I don't have I have them taking a bit of a step back because I still don't have faith in Sirianni. I think they had a good draft, but I still don't have faith in Sirianni. And I think that it is easier to project a regression from a really good team than it is to say that they're just going to continue doing the same thing over and over. I still think they're going to be a good team, and I still think that they're a playoff caliber team, a tough team that you don't want to face. But I think that there is that possibility that the heart and soul of that team, being Saquon, who just got a new contract, all these things that typically kind of they're very anecdotal, but they're bad for players in general. Madden cover, new contract, huge amount of touches the previous year, injury history. It's a little bit scary to me. That's why I have them taking a little bit of a step back. Still 10-7, still in the playoffs.
Okay. All right. So listen, I have 13-4 for the Commanders, which I feel like is a pretty good number. I have the Eagles much higher. So I agree that, and you brought it up, the 400 touch thing. And it kind of jogged my memory. I remember all the way back, and I don't remember the running back's name from the Falcons way back in the day, Dirty Bird. Not work.
Jamal Anderson.
Jamal Anderson. He was getting 400 touches a year, and he had like a 3-year peak, and then that was it. And they kind of started tracking those numbers on 400 touches a year. Guys that go over 400 do typically take a step back. So you bring up a good point. So my predictions might be off here. But with that, I mean, we ready to move on to our last team? Because
absolutely.
For me, I had the Eagles at 15-2, man. I still think they're going to be really good. I think that they have enough defense to win them basically any game. That defense is only going to get better because they were super fucking young. They don't have to score a shitload of points. That is the best defense in the NFL, and it might be the youngest defense in the NFL. They are well coached. So if Saquon does have a step back or there is an injury, I think that their defense is so good that they're going to be a really special team this year.
All right. Well, I got the Commanders at 11-6 leading off this division. Okay. Another good season from them. I kind of had predicted that they were going to have a pretty big jump last year when we did this prediction show, because I really liked the offseason moves that they made. I love that they had all the cap space to go out there, and adding a guy like Jaden Daniels, obviously, like, I think he's extremely talented. We do a lot of times see a year to kind of drop off from some of these guys. We saw it with CJ Stroud last year. Now, a big part of that is the offensive line just being super fucking terrible there in Houston. It was 10-7, Amber, for the Eagles. But there's a lot of times like a year two slump. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be bad. Like you said a lot of shiny things about Jaden Daniels, and I agree with pretty much all. Like his ability to move from, second progression, third progression, move down those progressions is way above where he should be. I think the VR and that kind of training that he does plays into that a lot. Obviously, he's super talented as a runner. I'm still scared about his size and his lean,
he's got to take care of himself.
And we've seen that so often with running quarterbacks, especially Washington running quarterbacks.
He doesn't have to be a running quarterback, though. Have you ever seen a quarterback that young be able to just stand in one spot when he knows he has a pocket? They almost always flush. They always get nervous and they try to move, and especially a guy with his athleticism. He has the nutsack to stand in the pocket the entire time and not move when his protection holds up. And if it doesn't hold up, he's obviously athletic enough to break it, man. You do not see guys with that level of athleticism who are willing to hang and trust the pocket that way. And that's why he finds so many people.
Yeah, look, and I love what he does. It is no knock on him. I think there's still a possibility for I'll say a year two slump to an extent. Sam Cosmi not being there to start the season, which I don't think he's projected to be there initially at right guard. That sucks for them a little bit. Obviously, they brought in the right tackle out of Oregon, or the tackle out of Oregon, but I think that he's still a developmental guy. I don't think they're going to try to move him to guard or anyone like that in the guard in the meantime. But still, this gets them first place in the NFC East. Also, for clarification, the last year we had a lot of teams that were at that 14 win mark or higher. I believe it was 6, which is not unheard of, but it is very uncharacteristic for the NFL. The disparity with teams getting that many wins is very high. In this year's predictions, a little foreshadowing, I only have 2 teams going above 12 wins. In all the NFL.
I followed the trend. I have a lot of very heavy stacked division.
And so I don't, for me, there's, obvious clear cut winners in a lot of these divisions, but and so 11-6 to me is a very good year for this Commanders team. It's, 2/3 of your games you're winning. That's what you expect from a playoff caliber team. I expect the Commanders to be really good. Take another little step forward here. Hopefully a year two slump isn't anything too crazy for Jaden Daniels, or it doesn't happen, obviously, but a little bit of projection here. Commanders 11-6 win this division.
Pay fucking Terry McLaurin. That will make you have a really good year. I promise.
That is the big question mark here with the Commanders. It's if and when that deal is going to
pay Terry. He's so good. He is a true number one in this league. Pay him. And here's the thing. Not everybody thinks he's a true number one. It's the same shit that happened with Nico Collins. And they paid him early. So they're going to get Nico Collins on the cheap, and he's a fucking dog.
I said when they paid him that deal, I loved that deal for the team. Not necessarily Nico.
Pay Terry, dude. Pay Terry.
Yeah, for sure. All right, AFC East. Who do you got out in fourth place, AFC East?
AFC East, fourth place. I think that they are going to be an interesting story to follow all year. Thank you. Thank you, producer Amber, coming in clutch, getting information and beers. But I got the Jets down at the bottom. I got them finishing 4-13. I think that they will be competitive in a lot of games. There just won't be enough juice at the end. And that's kind of something that we've seen a lot with the Jets here recently. They just won't probably score enough points. It's going to be really hard to understand what this offense is going to look like, though. We're going to have to see what they look like in the preseason. The running game could be really spectacular because they got a couple of good backs and a quarterback that can run now. So that's kind of where I'm not sure how this offense is going to score points. Obviously, Garrett Wilson is a dog, but I don't know that I trust the Jets very much. So I've got them pretty low right now at 4-13.
All right. Well, we are definitely going to have a divergence here.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So my team in fourth place, AFC East, and my worst team in the NFL.
Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. I had the
Okay.
Miami Dolphins getting a whole 2 wins. 2-15 for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. You make me feel much better about my projections on the Dolphins because I also think they're going to suck, just not that bad.
I think it's going to be a rough year for them. Look, I hated their offseason. They lost, their safety. I can't think of his name right now. Excellent talent. Their offensive line already was not very good. I feel like people have kind of started to figure out McDaniels a little bit. You've had a bunch of players come out and talk about like, oh, we had a lot of talk about how we were building a culture here. Now that they've left, they've been like, yeah, that culture was all talk and nothing but bullshit. You've got guys like Tyreek, who don't know what he is anymore. Is he possibly a potential trade candidate type stuff?
He's
like
a dog. I mean,
you've got your cornerback, your best cornerback, wanting to leave.
Yeah,
and not reloading that secondary really at all this offseason. You bring guys like a James Daniels to help fix the offensive line, which when he's healthy is an above average interior offensive lineman, but he's not healthy almost ever. And I love James Daniels coming out of Iowa, but like he's just not been healthy. So I don't know that he's going to provide you that much of a boost. McDaniels had a really flashy offense that first year. And then I think people started to figure it out because we did not see any of that last year. Even with Tua being on the field for the entire year, I don't think Tua's the guy either. Like, and I think that this is the make or break year, whether or not Tua Tagovailoa is the long-term solution at quarterback there. I think that with as bad of a year as I projecting them to have, McDaniels, who I think is already on a hot seat, might be out. I think they might do a big
I called it last year, but I was too early. I thought he was going to get fucking fired.
I think that he might be gone. I think they might move on from Tua, try to trade him to get whatever assets, because we're looking at a quarterback draft here that isn't too bad. Now, they would have the number 1 overall pick, but they'd be able to
they should do trade for Dylan Gabriel.
Okay. No, you love having 2 rookie quarterbacks, Mike. We had this whole diatribe. It's different. We got 2 rookies.
It is different.
We gotta have 4 quarterbacks, including a Super Bowl winner. But look, this Dolphins team, I am expecting them to have a pretty bad year again. The culture stuff that they're talking about, I don't think is going to get any better. They were, posting about how they're having practices outside in the rain. What do you fucking do? Welcome to the NFL. Like, this is something that you can fucking do, and it's not a big deal. You don't need to show your feathers about it online. Good. You're playing football. It's a man's sport. You guys are going to play outdoors. You got to be ready to play up in fucking New England and Buffalo end of the year. Like, the rain don't really matter. I expect it to be a really rough year for this Dolphins team and for there to be some major overhauls.
Okay. All right. So this is one of those divisions that I have stacked very low. So moving on to team number 3 for me, I have the Patriots, who I expect to be a decent team, but they're going to finish at 5-12. They will still need a lot more offensive firepower. I know Mike Vrabel is a very good coach. I think the defense will keep them in a lot of games, but they still do not have enough juice on that offense. For me, if I'm Mike Vrabel, you're still going to have some salary cap money coming up here soon. You have to attack weapons. They did a good job of addressing that offensive line, but they need weapons for Drake May. They need them bad. Like legit guys who can go out and win a route. And coming, well, not next year, 2 years from now, because Jeremiah Smith is still a fucking couple years away. But there are some good receivers. So where are you at on number 3 here, big guy?
Number 3, I got the Patriots. I got them at 8 and 9 though. Okay. I am giving them a Vrabel boost for sure. So last year they finished, what was it, 4 and 12, I believe. So I'm expecting
4 and 13.
4 and 13. I'm expecting them to build off of that. All right. This was a Patriots team that was god awful, rudderless ship, captainless ship. They have a good head coach there who is bringing in good coordinators with him. You look at what he did in Tennessee. I never really liked those Tennessee teams that Vrabel was a part of, yet they were always competitive. Like even in close games or games that they lost, they were relatively close. And he was doing this with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I love Drake May. I think Drake May is going to be a great quarterback. I think we got to see a little bit of that last year. And that was with next to nothing as far as weapons. They went into the offseason with the most cap space. They brought in a lot of notable names on the offense and on the defense. You got Stephon Diggs, question mark. Admittedly, question mark there was Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, okay. So thank you. We can talk. You can say that Stephon Diggs is a big signing. You have no idea what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, we aren't sure as of this point. But Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane, Morgan Moses at right tackle, Mac Hollins at wide receiver, the Pastronaut as a backup quarterback.
They brought in some mid receivers and one guy who's probably getting suspended. There's not enough juice on that offense, man.
It's more than they had last year.
Correct.
And Drake May still didn't look bad with what he had out there. I think that you're going to get a coach boost here, and then you could almost do nothing but improve that roster with how bad it was. And they went out there and they spent money and brought in guys who at least are mid or average, which is better than they had last year. That's going to net them at least a couple extra wins. That's I got them. Maybe it is a little bit too bullish, but at 8 and 9, they're still a losing record, but they take a pretty decent step forward here in a relatively weak division. I mean, you're getting a baked in 2 wins there versus the Dolphins. So I got this Pats team taking a step forward. And another thing that I have in general is there's a lot of mid teams, a lot of them floating around that 500 mark throughout this entire segment that we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I feel this division is very mid with the exception of the top, in my opinion. So going on to team number 2, I think we're different, but because we're going to be same at the top. I'm going to have the Dolphins at number 2. You're going to have the Jets. I got Dolphins at 6 and 11. I think for a lot of the reasons that you brought up, they are not going to have a good year, man. They are done. I thought not Jaden Daniels, that Mike McDaniels was getting fired last year. We are right there. We are on the precipice of it. The offense is not working the way it should. Jalen Waddle is supposed to be this big time piece of that offense, was completely fucking ghost for a long time. Wasn't getting targets, and when he did get targets, didn't convert them. So I think that they have questions about his development of players, and his scheme is starting to be caught up to quickly.
I don't know that he's a good leader on that team. I think that he's probably a great part of an offensive
out of his mind all the time, dude. Have you ever seen a cokehead?
Never.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they definitely don't look like fucking Mike McDaniels.
As far as I know, he's recovered from alcohol and whatnot. Either way,
he looks like then Miami is just killing him.
Look, it is tough for Miami to put together a good team because that is just a party capital. Coach, whatever. It's tough down there. But either way,
Mike McDaniels that showed up week 1 in Miami, and Mike McDaniels now look like somebody went through just absolute hell in Cancun for a month.
Yeah. I think that he doesn't have the locker room. I won't speak to the off the field stuff as much because I don't know. But what I do know is it feels like he does not. It feels like he's one of those young coaches that has let the players kind of run amok. I do not doubt that he has some offensive genius because we got to see a little bit of that first year. But I don't know that he has a control of that locker room. I don't know that he has control of that full team, and I don't think that his scheme has been fully developed into a way that is going to be able to put together a good roster. But I've already talked enough shit about this Miami Dolphins team. My number 2 team that I got in here is the New York Jets, which, you know, they have gone through chemo, lots of radiation.
I'm
They've gotten the
interested to hear
cancer
the
out of
number
there.
here on how many wins they get, because it's a lot more than I got projected.
Look, I'm giving them a win, just an extra win, just for Aaron Glenn fucking off Aaron Rodgers, like bringing him in to tell him we're cutting you. I love it. But I do think Aaron Glenn's a good coach, and I do think that is a guy that is going to have the locker room behind him. He's going to motivate him. He's going to bring a lot of that Dan Campbell energy to New York, to the Jets. It's a tough place to play, but look, Justin Fields going there. He's linking up with his old teammate and Garrett Wilson. Maybe we see a little bit of Ohio State magic. I think that this team had a pretty solid fucking roster last year, and they had cancer at offensive coordinator, they had cancer at quarterback, and by removing that, you're gaining extra wins. We know that their defense has a lot of talent on it and can be very good. 2 years ago, they were one of the better defenses in the league. I don't know about you, but I believe in their running game, and I think that they got guys on offensive line that can be really good.
Yeah,
schematic
so
changes.
That's the part that I like. I do have my question marks on Justin Fields still in the passing game.
Absolutely.
But he can run a competent offense with the ability, with some good running backs. I just don't know that is that going to be enough? Because he's going to have to throw the ball efficiently.
Yeah, and I feel like they're going to try to scheme themselves a lot more like the Lions minus the passing game. They're hard-nosed on defense, hard-nosed, brutal on offense, running the ball, and then they're going to try to channel a little bit of what they can of Jared Goff. Now, there's
feels
no
like a little
comparison between
placeholder here, because Aaron Glenn's guy is not Justin Fields.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I think that you're taking a potential upside guy. Like, obviously, we know he can run. He can be gangbusters for fantasy, but fantasy doesn't get you wins in the NFL. We know that he can run. I don't think that that Pittsburgh gave him enough leash last year to be what he could be.
Well, he played well.
And that's the thing. He did. When they were starting him, they played well. And I think that they can channel a lot of that there with the Jets. They got a good defense, a good offensive line, a good run game, and Justin Fields can do some stuff with the football.
Listen,
I got the Jets at 10-7.
Ooh,
I got them in a winning season. Look,
that's way higher than I got them.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we're going to see a pretty significant boost because unlike the Pats, who are getting a boost just from the coach and some offseason additions, this is a team that already was good in many facets of their roster construction, who now are going to have a competent coaching scheme, a guy who's going to control the locker room, do good things, and they're not going to have a piece of shit at quarterback. You can do a lot with that in a weak division. Like, there is one obvious contender here in this division, and that's who we're going to get to next. That's the Bills.
Yeah,
right?
100%. How high is the win total for you?
I got them at 15-2.
15-2.
I could see them running the card this year. They got tough ones against the Chiefs
Ravens
again and the Ravens, and that's going to be one of the funnest matchups to watch in the year. Is that early season Ravens Bills matchup? But I got them at 15-2. Really good team. Number 1 in the AFC, Buffalo Bills. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. No, the biggest question for me is James Cook. Like, are you going to get him in there? Are you going to pay him? Because the running game obviously is hugely important to this team, and James Cook has been fantastic. He's one of those guys, though, and it's why I think that they probably are a little apprehensive about paying the money. If he has any sort of trajectory like his brother, he only got a couple more years out of this guy. He's slighter than Dalvin was. Like, that's the fear with them. But I think that they are in that window. I was scared that they were going to fall out of that window last year, but they're still there. They still have what it takes. They added some pieces on defense, which they really needed this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So get Cook back in the room, get him happy, try to go for it this year. Bills number 1 in the AFC, or excuse me, NFC. Yeah, AFC. It is AFC.
You did all right. Let's just
Yes.
all right. Anyways, so I also have the Bills at 15-2. They're going 6-0 in the division. They're beating the shit out of everybody in that division. In my projections here, but they are my number 2 team in the AFC. But this team is stacked. They're going to be really fucking good again, man. Josh Allen's a dog. Josh Allen has been one of the best players in the NFL since his 3rd year in the NFL. And that hasn't slowed down. And the team around him is also very good. They are well coached. They win in all facets of the game, man. But they have to maintain a running game, because if Josh has to do it all, it won't last. Josh needs somebody to take that pressure off. James Cook needs to be signed. He is a huge part of that offense. And you know what? You got him late in the draft. You can probably sign him to not a huge deal, because his production, while has been great for you guys in terms of league-wide production, he's only sitting around, 6th, 7th in the league? So you can sign a very important piece of your team for relatively low value money. You'd probably be the 3rd or 4th paid running back in the league. And you can get this done. That should happen immediately. The sides got to come together, because this team can win a Super Bowl. They're that good.
Yeah, absolutely. James Cook's 2nd round pick. You didn't get him late in the draft. Same as his brother.
I thought he went later. I thought he went 4th.
No, second rounder. I just had to pull it up just to make sure I was correct there. But
okay,
2nd round pick. Either way, the draft position doesn't matter to me.
No.
Like the running back market of the Saquons and stuff like that, and Christian McCaffrey's getting that money. That's a completely different tier. James Cook has to realize he's not in that tier.
He's going to be in the 4th or 5th. He's going to be 4th or 5th highest paid running back in the league.
Yeah, and I think that there's probably a way to do that, at least for a couple years, which is realistically probably what you need to do. Is you need to look at like a 3-year contract with this guy, because by the end of 3 years playing in Buffalo, that style of environment, being outdoors like that, and that sort of weather, the heavy run usage that Buffalo has, like you're going to wear this guy down. So you probably don't want to tire yourself to him super long term, but obviously he is such an important part to your roster. While you're in this window, you need to strike the iron while it's hot. But yeah, Buffalo Bills, really good team. Expect them to be making it very fun in the playoffs this year.
Agreed. Very much agreed. With that, man, that takes care of it. That's AFC and NFC East. We got all of our topics covered. Brother, that's it. Are we ready to get the fuck out of here?
Yes, sir. I got to go figure out what we're doing for dinner and what we're doing for the rest of this fucking weekend.
I got to take a piss and then finish up some homework for my my summer classes.
Alrighty.
Yeah, but guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Everybody who is still here. This is Raw Dawg Sports. I'm Mike. That's Evo. We come to you guys basically every week. Sometimes we take a break when Evo gets married, or we got other shit to do. But we appreciate every second that you spend with us. Time is the most valuable asset that you have. So anytime you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. Evo, give the people one last word.
Totally not sports related, politics related. Can we just agree that both sides don't know what the fuck they're doing? Yeah, neither side knows what the fuck they're doing. Guys, I'm Mike. That's Evo. This is Raw Dawg Sports. We'll see you next week. See ya.